Hello everybody, this is Warrior Dan back with an all new discussion video. Today we're going to be talking about a game one that I've not shown a lot of recently on the channel, that game being Team Fortress 2. Now there's a couple of reasons why I haven't played much TF2 in a while, and I'll talk about that in a little bit, but the focus of this discussion is about the current status of TF2, where I think the game's succeeding, where the game's failing, and what measures Valve could take to save TF2, before the community decides to abandon the game, which is a very real danger at the moment. Okay, so the first question on everybody's mind at the moment is TF2 dying? Well, yes and no. TF2 is in a very dangerous situation at the moment, and depending on how Valve plays its cards over the next year or two, it may result in either a rebirth of TF2 or its ultimate demise. I'm not saying that in any way to be dramatic, this is just what I believe, these are just my thoughts. The first eminent problem is matchmaking. A lot of people within the TF2 community, myself included, were bubbling with excitement when rumors began circling that TF2 would be getting a competitive scene. The problem was, however, when the competitive update launched, it launched in a semi-broken state, with many bugs, unfinished content, and a lot of other issues. It didn't even bother to include the long-awaited 6v6 mode, a mode that is still to this day even promoted on the official competitive menu in the game. As of the time of this video's recording, it has been almost 3 months following the update's release, and the mode is still plagued with problems. Now I can see a lot of fanboys rushing to defend Valve and say, it's still being worked on, you should ignore it, it's still a beta, just let it go. To that I say one word, Overwatch. Overwatch, the recently released retail class-based shooter developed by Blizzard, the developers behind World of Warcraft, have garnered a reputation for continuously pushing out new updates featuring new maps, playable classes, and bug fixes, all on a pretty regular basis. Blizzard even goes so far as to interact with users in community forums and by putting out weekly or monthly video updates to inform the community of upcoming changes that may affect their gameplay. Meanwhile, in terms of communication with fans, Valve provides this. Yep, that's right, Valve provides really nothing. Communication has never been something Valve has been especially good with, as almost anyone who's ever played with a Steam game has known. Valve, unlike 99% of other companies in the video game market, or frankly in the market at all, doesn't even have a proper customer support line. Meanwhile, getting back to games, while Overwatch is getting weekly or bi-weekly updates, TF2 is only putting out an average of 1 or 2 major updates a year. As for what I mean by major, I am referring to an update that is either a themed update, like the TF2 Invasion update, or the original Man vs. Machine update, where new maps or weapons or game modes are added, or another update like the Gunmetal update, where the TF2 metagame was dramatically changed up, in the form of weapon and class rebalances. This lack of consistent updates is due to, in part, to the way Valve decides to run their company. Currently, there are only 5 known Valve developers actively working on TF2. If people cannot count on you as a company to continue to add new content and fix major problems facing the game on a regular basis, then people will be less likely to support you and your product, and will instead look around on the market and possibly support another game, like Overwatch, that is offering more than you are. Hence the problem between Overwatch and TF2. I'm not saying either game is better or worse than the other, they're both very different games from the ground up. However, with only 5 known developers working on TF2, there's no way they can continue to push out major updates frequently enough to keep TF2 players interested in the long run. Now I've done some thinking about TF2 over the last few weeks, and I've come up with what I think are some ways Valve could easily release more major TF2 updates in the future. Now I'm sure you're wondering, well, how would you do that? Well, I think the answer is simple enough. First off, I would create an automated system similar to Steam Greenlight, where the TF2 community, and communities of other similar games, could create their own proposed community update. And assuming it got enough support, it would then be sent to the main game developers to approve or deny for inclusion in the game. Now, how specifically would this work? Let me explain. First, in order to get the community update featured on Steam Greenlight, whoever was in charge of the community update would need to go to a designated Steam page, where they would need to pay an upfront fee in order to create a page for the update. Similar to how developers have to pay an upfront fee in order to get their game featured on Steam Greenlight. I would make the fee around $50 USD, which is exactly half the cost of the $100 fee that game developers pay when first setting up a Steam Greenlight page. As with the case of the current Steam Greenlight fee, all proceeds of this fee would go to charity. After the fee is paid, the update leader, mentioned above, would be able to set up a product page, similar to the product pages used for games on the Steam store. The update leader could add the update's title, screenshots, videos, etc., as well as a product description field, where they would describe the purposes of the update. Below this field would be community-made maps, weapons, skins, etc., created by third parties. In order to appear on the page, these third-party items would have to be manually approved by the update leader. Alternatively, one other approach I could see being very helpful is if the update leader could appoint moderators. Similar to how a Steam group owner can appoint moderators to help them manage their group. These moderators could help decide what community items are added to the update page, as well as moderate comments added to the page, post announcements, etc. To limit the number of community updates out there at any given time on Steam Greenlight, Valve should implement a 60-day system, which counts down from the day on which the community update was first launched, starting at 60 and ending at 0. During this time, the update must gain enough votes to pass a specific threshold in order to be approved by Valve. For argument's sake, let's say 5,000 votes. If the number of people voting to support the update exceeds this threshold, then Valve may be wondering, but Dan, if I'm a server owner, how can I expect to make any money off of my server if Valve should ban server ads? Well, to that I say, donations. All I'm proposing is that anything that could potentially ruin the TF2 experience for some people be removed. I believe server owners should still be allowed to run text-based advertisements in chat, such as promoting their Patreon page or other donation page. So that way, if you want to support them, you are absolutely enabled to, and you have access to information on how to support them. I believe that community servers can potentially see a huge revival, and we could see TF2 as a game, as a community, once again becoming more popular and more accessible than ever. If Valve builds a tool allowing community servers to help fill the hole left behind when the official Valve TF2 servers were taken down earlier this year, I think a lot of people that abandoned TF2 would come back and try it again and rejoin our awesome little community. Now, there is another way Valve could potentially save TF2, and it's one that I think personally is needed at this point, assuming that probably they won't implement my previous ideas. And what I'm thinking is, hand over the developing responsibilities for TF2 to a third party, and have Valve step down from active development. Now, I can already hear the diehard TF2 fanboys shrieking in my ear how Valve is the best developer on the planet, and Valve can never do anything wrong. Well, to that I say, I'm doing this to save Valve and TF2. Think about it for a moment from Valve's perspective, from a business angle. They have a number of high-demanding things to work on right now, such as their new VR headset, the HTC Vive, as well as other online games like Dota 2. They don't really have time or enthusiasm to focus on a 10-year-old game like TF2. I don't just say that as an opinion, overall it's fact. For the TF2 community, there was a 7-month gap between the Meet Your Match update released on July the 7th this very year, and the previous major content update, which was the Tough Break update, released on December 17th, 2015. That's more than half a year between updates. This is why I think Valve needs to do what's best for TF2. And if they don't plan to redouble their efforts on putting out new updates themselves more consistently, then I think in all seriousness, they need to hire a third-party developer to take control of future TF2 development. Valve has done so much for the TF2 community over the years, but if TF2 is to survive as a game, and Valve doesn't have the time or willingness to commit themselves, then someone else needs to be brought in to help bring TF2 back into the fold as one of the greatest FPS titles of the modern era. Now, the ultimate question: if Valve decided to have another developer take over TF2 for them, who would it be? Now, I put a lot of thought into this and some actual research into this one, and I think I've found a few developers that might be perfectly suited to the task. First up, Hidden Path Entertainment. Hidden Path Entertainment has had a quite close relationship with Valve over the years, their most obvious work together being Counter-Strike Global Offensive, co-developed between them and Valve. Additionally, Hidden Path has done some prior work on CSGO's predecessor, Counter-Strike Source. Given their advanced hands-on experience with developing proper competitive gameplay, a very competent hacker reporting system, and an advanced global network system, allowing people to quickly and easily find competitive servers near them, I can't think of anyone better suited to taking over TF2's competitive scene. Second on our list, Turtle Rock Studios. Turtle Rock Studios was originally a development house run under Valve. Turtle Rock worked on a number of Valve titles over the early to late 2000s, including Counter-Strike, Counter-Strike Source, Half-Life 2 Deathmatch, Left 4 Dead, and Left 4 Dead 2. However, they are perhaps most well known by modern-day gamers for their work on the popular, recent, yet controversial game Evolve, and its subsequent re-release, Evolve Stage 2. Turtle Rock Studios has had a lot of experience when it comes to team-based gameplay, as well as vast experience in working with PvE combat, with a lot of on-screen AI at any given time in the game. Given their experience in creating PvE combat, as well as creating very interesting AI on screen, I think they would be a fantastic secondary developer for TF2, working specifically to create new content for TF2's man versus machine mode. Splitting the development work for TF2 between two teams, one team devoted to competitive modes, and another separate team working on new co-op campaigns and related content, would ensure that the TF2 community can look forward to new gameplay content, all on a faster basis than one developer could possibly commit to. Valve would continue to be involved with TF2's development, but would simply limit themselves to providing more casual content, including approving new community-made updates, like what we saw with the Invasion update and the End of the Line update, except hopefully in the future we'll see better community updates than the ones listed above. But all of this is just my thoughts. Tell me in the comments below, what do you think of my ideas for a community quick play tool, and the idea of potentially seeing TF2 community updates added as an option for Steam Greenlight? Also, do you think Valve should still be the sole developer for TF2, or do you prefer my idea of a freeway development team, splitting the development for TF2 3 ways? Or do you have an idea for another developer who would be a better choice to take over TF2? Tell me in the comments below now, and I'll be sure to check it out, and maybe even feature your comment in a future video. This has been Warrior Dan. I hope you enjoyed this video, If you did, please do hit that like button, it's right below my video. If you want to see more content from me in the future, like my gameplay videos and my review videos, click that subscribe button to get notified when I post new uploads, and I'll see all of you in the next video. Bye bye!